Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Doc. In today's video I'm going to tell you why render token RNDR is, in my honest opinion, at least a 100x crypto. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I believe this. Again, it's not financial advice, just my honest opinion. So let's not talk too much and get straight to the point with this video with first, what is render token? Because you really need to understand a little bit of render token before I give my arguments why it will be a 100x token. So really short, render is distributed GPU rendering on the blockchain. What this basically means is that's the first network to transform the power of GPU compute into a decentralized economy. So how does render work? Well, you might have an artist or someone who needs rendering job but doesn't want to spend tens and 20 of hours, thousands of dollars on GPU cards. No, he just wants to have a render job done fast and for a good amount. So he submits it on the render network. On the render network, there will be made a smart contract. In the smart contract, it will put the price he has to pay for the render job. So nobody can actually tell you what the price is. It's all done by smart contracts so they can never charge you too much. On the other side, on the processing power job, there will be someone who has the computing power who can do the rendering job. So they will accept the render job, they will do the rendering, and they will get paid in render tokens, and then the job will be submitted back to the requester. So you might be thinking, well Doc, is it really that good to do? Why can I just not buy a graphic card? Well, in this really nice example for someone who likes performing games, a normal rendering job would have taken 1,500 minutes on the MacBook Pro locally, but with 15 minutes only needed for the same rendering job on Octane Render Distributed. As you can see, you could have done the rendering job in 25 hours for free, or would only spend $2.13 for it be done in 15 minutes. So you saved 14 hours and 45 minutes for just $2, which is insane, and which is basically why render will be so good, because it can make low GPUs act like one of the best in the world. And with this said, let's go to my first reasoning. So the first reason of why render will be a 100x crypto is because AI is coming up really fast. And what is AI needed the most? Well, GPU power. We can already see this on this example of ChatGPT running 10,000 NVIDIA training GPUs with the potential for thousands of more just to get ChatGPT running. But not only ChatGPT, no, Microsoft spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ChatGPT supercomputer. So Microsoft says it connected tens of thousands of NVIDIA A100 chips and reworked server racks to build the hardware behind ChatGPT and its own Bing AI bot. We're seeing that companies just for a language model AI have been spending 10,000s of GPUs just to get it running. And this is 2 companies. Can you imagine if 10, 20, 50, 100, 1000 companies do this and they all need graphic cards? They're not gonna buy it all. It will be like, why would you waste so much money when there's millions, literally hundreds of millions on the GPUs in the world not doing anything? Everybody knows that one gamer who bought a 390 or like a 4090 and doesn't spend any time, he could be rendering and making money. But we're seeing more and more things as well. Of course, we got June 5th set as Apple plans to debut its mixed reality headset. Not only AI will need a lot of rendering power, Metaverse will also need a lot of rendering power. So many things in the future will need so much rendering power, and that's the reason number 1 why I think that render could be 100% crypto, because the demand just keeps going up, and it's accelerating. Like, the demand doesn't slow down, it just goes faster and faster, and render will be needed. So the second reason why I think that render will be really big is basically the burning mechanism which is implemented with render. So let me explain really slowly so that people understand what this is. So normally on the render network, you would just pay with render tokens and the other side would receive render tokens and they can just sell the render tokens and nothing really happens with the tokens. Like, it's not giving value to the render token other from the guy who wants the rendering job needs to go buy render token to get the job done. So that's actually making it slower actually to use render. So what are they gonna implement is, it doesn't matter if you pay with render tokens of USDC, of credit card or whatever, you can just pay. But what will happen this time is, if you don't pay with the token, they will actually buy the token of exchanges and burn the token. So you might be saying, Doc, well, if the token is burned, how are the people who are giving the GPU power paid by? Well, they are paid by tokens which are minted. So what render did is they actually upped the supply a little bit to pay for people working. And why is this really bullish? Let me explain. So let's say really easy, daily they get 10,000 render tokens reward. So currently that's like, I think $13,000. So let's say this, that the daily usage of render gets to $130,000. That means that 100k render tokens will be bought of exchanges and burned. So basically you're seeing 10x burning happening. So this cannot go on for weeks and weeks because render supply will shrink down so fast you cannot even imagine. So the more and more this happens and the bigger render gets, let's say it goes to 1 million a day. And then let's say that's 1.3 million, let's make it easy, and there will be 1 million tokens burned and only 10,000 come a day for the reward. So it cannot keep that up, because if it keeps burning and burning, like, the price should go up because it's getting buying of exchanges, doesn't matter what price it is. So yeah, the more render grows, the more utility it gets, the more the value will go up, because there's only a 10k daily, let's say, which is rewarded. So if people are still gonna give their GPU and people are keep using and using render more and more, the price has to go up. And then you will be asking, well, Doc, if render doesn't get used at all, well, if it doesn't get used at all, of course it's not good. But you don't want to invest, not financial advice, in a project that's not going to work. Like, you wouldn't invest in Apple if they only sold 5 iPhones a year. No, you would invest in Apple if they sell 100 million iPhones a year. And that's the same with render. You're looking into a project and you're really believing that it's gonna be big, because they're the only one in the market as well. And there's more. We saw the example of the MacBook. Well, we didn't only notice that, Apple saw it as well. So the M2 generation performance comes with render, because render, Apple even knows that you can make an iPad work like 10,000 iPad just by putting render on it and making the computing power decentralized. So you can put a less expensive chip which is good enough to work good, and then combine it with all your live nodes of every single iPad, iPhone, MacBook Pro, and make this iPad the best in the world by just using cloud computing power. So Apple knows this, so it's gonna be a big thing. And if they connect this really well to Octane, the usage will be so big, render 100x will be happening. And now let's get on with the third reason. So the third reason isn't really that big of a reason, but it's showing something which the world already knows, that computing power is a really big thing. So what I'm saying is that Nvidia, the biggest computing power, well, actually they make computing chips factory in the world, company, let's say, is ranked 7 with a market cap of 673 billion. And I truly believe that this Nvidia, the biggest supplier of graphic cards, is a top 10 stock, that Render should be a top 10 crypto as well. And what we're seeing with Nvidia is crazy. So if we look back from in 2013, Nvidia was only like 7.58 billion, and now we're seeing 673 billion. So in 10 years time, this stock went 80 to 90x for a stock, and it keeps growing. It wasn't even like top 100, top 200 back then, maybe top 500 even, and in 10 years it's going to the top 10, and it was even a top 6 before, and it just keeps growing. And I'm truly thinking that if Nvidia, if the world knows that computing power is something scarce, that is literally liquid gold, then Render will be a top 10 crypto as well. So what does that say? If we go back to a historical snapshot of the last bull market, we could see that the top 10 crypto was 34 billion. But we know that every single crypto bull market, the top 10 crypto goes like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5x. So 35 billion would probably be almost around 100 billion in the next bull run. If we take a look at Render's market cap, 463 million, then a 100x would be a 46 billion, which in my opinion will definitely be a top 10 crypto, maybe even higher than top 10. And this is basically my logical honest opinion on why I think Render will be a 100x. I even think it's going to be way more than 100x, because if they keep burning as hell and they keep burning and burning and the demand and usage goes up, the price of today might be 1000x. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like if you did, follow me on Twitter to know when I post videos, to know when I talk crypto and retweet interesting things. Subscribe to my channel for more crypto content, and YouTube. Till the next time.